of next year.
That is our showbiz reporter, Christo Fufas, reporting there. You are listening to the Nightly News on LBC 97.3. Tonight's closing headlines, a green revolution in the making. That's what Gordon Brown is calling his £100 billion energy strategy. And F.W. de Klerk, the man who worked with Nelson Mandela to free South Africa from apartheid, has told LBC African leaders must take a stronger lead in bringing democracy to Zimbabwe. You've been listening to the Nightly News on LBC.
The weather this weekend is...
Let's go.
The Olympics are but weeks away now, and the preparations are underway for the biggest demonstration of the power of performance-enhancing drugs the world has ever seen. The authorities would have you believe that they're right on top of it, and no cheaters will escape detection. But in reality, the Olympics are about as drugs-free as the Tour de France, which is about as drugs-free as the dance tent at Glastonbury. There's a thing called recombinant human erythropoietin, or EPO, which behaves in a complicated way if you take it that causes endurance athletes to perform better. It's banned by the World Anti-Doping Agency and the International Olympic Committee. So a team in Denmark decided to test the test. They gave the stuff to a group of young men and tested them to see if it showed up. The test gave some positive results to those that weren't taking it, and failed to spot any that were. In other words, the test that they're using at major sports events to see if anyone is cheating is completely useless. Indeed, most of the athletes linked to doping in recent years have been caught through criminal investigations, not drug testing. A professor of sports science said the anti-doping authorities reminded him of little boys whistling in the graveyard, by which he presumably means they're rather afraid. And they're afraid because they know how helpless they are in the arms race of performance-enhancing drugs that runs through competitive sports. No surprise, really. Millions and millions of pounds are at stake. Fortunes can be made by the victors. Why leave it to chance? It's like MPs fiddling their expenses. If they're all at it, it doesn't seem like they're doing anything wrong. But they aren't all doing it, of course. And the author of the report publishes his findings with trepidation, as those that don't cheat now know how easy it is to get away with it. Which leaves the possibility that the only true clean games left is your annual school sports day. And they've banned that. So there it is. I'm quite looking forward to it, nevertheless. It's when? The end of August, something like that?
I think so. Be the second week of August, I think.
Right, they've left it to the hottest point of the year of one of the hottest places on Earth, which also, coincidentally, is about the most polluted. What dope came up with the idea of putting the Olympics in Beijing? Beijing's Olympic plans suffered an embarrassing blow after Australia said that it's not going to send athletes to the opening ceremony over fears of pollution. British athletes, who will train in Macau, have made the same decision. But Australian authorities specifically cited Beijing's notorious pollution as a factor. They're not going to go to the opening ceremony. That's when they all parade in the stadium behind the flag, right? So, what's going to happen? There's going to be the flag, presumably. Well, it might not even be that. We just won't show up. How embarrassing. This is a quote. We've had athletes come back from a recent test event, and one athlete has got 10 days off training because of respiratory problems, said the team's performance director. That's the Australian teams. Australia has led the way in demonstrating its concern over air quality in the Chinese capital, one of the most polluted in the world. John Coates, the head of the Olympic Committee, has also suggested that competitors were at risk of food poisoning and infectious diseases and has ordered an intensive programme of vaccination. Yeah, that is a real worry for them, because athletes are like, if you compare them to cars, they're like tuned Italian Exotica, aren't they? Like Ferraris they are. And you want to put the very best petrol and oil in your Ferrari. You could start a tractor, like you and me, Raj. We are we would be corresponding to farmyard machinery. You could start, you and I, with a pint of meths. Oh, I'd love a pint of meths around about now. But if you're a finely tuned athlete, you need the very best. And so if they go, running, exercising, like they are at the Olympics in that kind of pollution, well, they're just going to fall down dead, aren't they? Still, that'd make for exciting television. What time? How far ahead or behind are they? I recently went to Thailand, which would be more or less the same, and they were. I've no idea.
I imagine they're about 7 or 8 hours ahead.
Ahead, right? So I always get confused when I try and work this stuff out in my head. If it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon there, then it is 2. There's
6 o'clock.
There's no analog clocks in here. It's 6 in the morning. Right. That's not a very friendly time to watch the Olympics, is it? 6 o'clock in the morning. Everything's going to be going on. Well, it'll be finished by lunch.
That's what happened when they had the football in Japan.
Right.
A few years ago.
Yes, people staying up all night. And so you'd have to expect that well, I suppose we do have a few athletes going, not very many, but people, if you are going to follow a particular event, there's absolutely no way you'll be able to go to work that day. So people will be taking August off. And much the same way as they haven't taken the last couple of weeks off for the football. Because we weren't in it, although it perhaps was more exciting because we weren't in it. UFOs are in the news again today, and this just gets weirder and weirder. I'll have to talk about that. I'd also like to talk about Brian May of Queen and Gordon Brown. Gordon Brown actually grew a pair. It's his anniversary, of course, 1 year in. And he stood up today and said the following. Gas bills will rocket by up to 37% to pay for a £100 billion green energy revolution, the government announced today, to much raising of eyes to the ceiling. But listen up, or listen on, or listen here. It came as Gordon Brown signalled that taxes are going to have to rise to combat climate change. A 37% rise in gas tariffs would mean households paying £209 more a year on average. Electricity bills could rise 15% or £53 annually. Now, on top of everything else that's occurring to us at the moment, that is not helpful. But the possibility of what might happen if we don't address this is much, much worse. And when you think that... oh, that's a nice cup. Thanks very much. I think I'll keep that one. It's got little coloured circles on a white background.
Groovy.
I like it. And when you think that Gordon Brown has just hit a year, and so all the press are writing his, well, obituary, really, aren't they? They're digging him a large hole and burying him in it. At the point at which his popularity couldn't go any lower, he stands up and tells you that bills are about to get more expensive to pay for something that a lot of people don't believe is happening anyway. Now, that takes a lot of nerve. I actually started to warm to him today through a forest of difficulty, because everything that he was saying is something that is stuff that nobody actually wants to hear. But it takes a very brave man to say it. Now, he could pretend, oh, well, the global warming isn't something that's actually going to happen to us. I'll bide my time. I might not be around very long anyway, and the next PM, or the next generation even, they can sort it out on their watch. It actually takes somebody who's quite brave to tell the public what they don't want to hear in order to help them in the long run. It might not help you personally during the course of your life, but it will help the next generation and the subsequent generations, unless they've all got it completely wrong, and this whole greenhouse gas thing is all made up. But we doubt it. Sensible people don't think that anymore. Cue a lot of people calling up saying, oh, well... But I just thought that was an extremely brave thing to do, although, if you think about it, he couldn't get more unpopular than he is. So he could announce that everyone over the age of 40 is going to have to give up their life forthwith. And the nation wouldn't like him any less. So perhaps it's not brave, really. It's giving us some bad news at the absolute nadir of his popularity. So it wouldn't make any difference, really. But I think politically it was quite brave. I warmed to him today. I'm beginning to, fall in love a little with Gordon Brown, but of course that's completely untrue. 7:45. LBC Travel with Alan Joyce.
Thanks, Nick. We'll start with the one bit of good news.
Hello?
Hello, Golders Green. Farah.
Hi, good evening.
Yes, sir.
I have two points to make. First of all, it's about 10 to 3 in the morning in Beijing, so they're about 7 hours ahead of us.
Right, okay.
And the second point is, your Mr. Brown did not endear himself to the Persian voters in this country by calling the Persian Gulf the Gulf of Arabia.
Right, well, what difference does that make?
Well, the difference is that the Persian people in this country are not going to vote for him if he starts changing the name of the... Like, somebody will call England something else tomorrow. Does it not make any difference to you?
The Persian... Okay, well, pardon my ignorance, but what is it... what did it used to be called, the Gulf of Arabia?
No. It's always been the Persian Gulf. There's a 300-year-old map in which is made by I can't remember the name of the gentleman who made it. An English guy which is in Cambridge University. The map is in Cambridge University, and the map actually calls the Gulf of the Persian Gulf the Persian Gulf. And because Mr. Brown's head is up the Emirates' backside, he wants to call this thing Gulf of Arabia.
Right.
He's not going to be there long, so we are not worried about him. Nobody voted him in, but he's going to get voted out.
Really? And you really took offence at that, did you?
Well, if somebody changes the name of your country...
Actually, he didn't change the name of your country. Hang on a minute. Whoa, Nelly, he didn't change the name. He just made
Why does he call it?
just made a mistake.
Well, then an ignorant man like that should not be there.
No, he's not an ignorant man. He's not an ignorant man. He just made a mistake.
Is he going to correct himself tomorrow?
Well, who cares?
Pardon? I do.
Why do you care?
Because if tomorrow I wouldn't like somebody to change the name of England to something.
No one's
else.
changed the name of it. He just made a mistake.
But the talks are that they're insisting that the Persian Gulf should be changed
Right,
to Gulf
okay.
of Arabia.
You're sitting there on the phone to me. Your heart rate's going. Your blood pressure is through the roof. Veins are throbbing in your forehead about
Absolutely
nothing.
not.
You're getting totally worked up about absolutely nothing, and you're working me up in having a conversation with you.
I do apologize.
What a ludicrous complaint.
You are.
It's like people like this. Seriously. It's as though we have, in this country, we've got a competitive sport of taking offence. And everybody seems to be competing with each other to see who can take the most offence about the tiniest, silliest little thing. Why don't you go write him a letter or something? I mean, good grief, he made an error. And that was him not upset. Right. OK. Just take a deep breath. Go listen to Enya. That'll calm you right down, mate. Here's Wallington. Hello, Joan.
Hello, Nick.
Joan.
I can't believe you're the same person I talked to weeks ago about global warming. I can't believe it. You're going for the official line. You're saying, oh, yes, the global warming, the greenhouse this and that. And if the media had not been spurging out all this stuff for ages and ages, and you actually looked at the weather we've just been having and the weather we had last year, the weather we had the year before, and you said, well, where is this global warming? You'd say, hey, I don't think it exists.
Yeah, but global warming, as it affects this country, isn't going to actually make us warmer. It'll just make us wetter and windier. The weather will just get more violent, which is exactly what we've been seeing.
We haven't.
Haven't what?
We've had all sorts of weather ever since.
What was summer like last year?
Huh?
What was summer like last year?
Non-existent.
Because?
Because that's how England is.
No. What do you mean by... Wait a minute. What do you mean by non-existent? Is there a full moon tonight? Everyone seems to be really upset so far.
Well, that's good.
It was non-existent, Joan, because it rained a lot.
Yeah.
Which is exactly what you'd expect if it was subject to global warming.
No. I can remember going back to when my kids were little, and we had a really hot day in June. And I said, I'm going to take you to the seaside. Now, I hadn't enough money really to go to the seaside, but I said, we are going to the seaside, because knowing British summers, this will probably be the best day of the summer, and that was June.
Right.
And guess what? That was it. We had about 2 nice days, And that's how it is in England. You get some hot, you get some wet, you get some windy, and you know you're in England because you get this huge variety.
Joan, you're an intelligent woman. You don't think that global warming means that suddenly we're going to be turned into the south of Spain. It means that by tiny increment, the temperature globally will increase. We won't actually notice it personally as it increases year by year.
Well,
but dramatic changes will start to take place, and at some point, almost like flicking a switch, you will go from one kind of climate to the next. This warm Mobius strip of current that keeps us temperate in this country, that goes, I can't remember exactly where it goes, but it brings warm water from the south up to here, which is why we're on the same latitude as, I believe we're on the same latitude as New York and places in Russia and so on, that freeze solid in the winter. No, we don't, because we have this warm water strip which brings the weather, the sort of pleasant weather with it. If that switches off, as it has in the past, we'll be under 100 foot of ice.
Well, if we're under 100 foot of ice, then we're not going to get too hot. Are we? I mean...
I had a mouthful of tea. If I'd spurted that out, I could have done £100,000 worth of damages.
But, I mean...
I'm sitting in front of a lot of really expensive equipment, Joe.
It was one...
What are you doing to me?
It was one hot summer.
Yes.
That they suddenly said, we're going to all turn into a desert.
No, that's not true either.
It's true.
No, it's not. If you look at the statistics for the average temperature on Earth over the last, I don't know, you take 100 years, you'll see that it's gradually creeping up. That's what's happening.
Well, it didn't mention a thing until that one hot summer, and then it was, and everybody went out buying special plants for the garden because they said you won't be able to grow any of the ordinary plants anymore, because it's turning into a desert. Oh, really? So the next minute, we had some snow in the winter. It was a little bit cold. And they said, no, it's a second ice age. Now, that's the way it's been going ever since then. They have produced the weirdest statistics. They've been talking nonsense, quite frankly.
Well, how come you have decided... You've taken in all of the evidence from both sides, and you've come firmly down on the side of, least resistance, the side which means that you don't actually have to change your life in any way. How come you made that decision?
I'd love to know how I'm supposed to change my life in any way.
Well, screw in one of those unpleasant bulbs. Don't take the car out so much. Ditch your patio heater. Don't take unnecessary flights. So on and so forth.
Yes.
Change your life.
No, really. If you didn't have people telling you this stuff...
Well, you wouldn't know. Of course you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know until you got blown away in a hurricane or...
Somewhere in the Antarctic, isn't it? Oh, yes. Well, in the Antarctic, and I'm thinking, how many of us go up there for a little look?
Yes, Joan. We don't take our holidays in the Antarctic. No, you're absolutely right, we don't. But if it's melting, as it seems to be, then we're all going to be affected. Water doesn't just stay where it is.
Yeah,
it finds its own level. Anyway, Joan, it's always a pleasure talking to you, and I really do mean that. But I've got to go for the news.
Right, bye-bye.
You'll believe some of that, won't you? It's a yes. This is LBC 97.3.
If you dream of...
Hello, boys.
You can call me if you like on anything at all. I mean it. 0845 6060 973. There is the story of some rather unreasonable behaviour, or so it's claimed, by bosses. So perhaps a theme that might run thinly throughout the show could be things that your boss has asked you to do that you've considered unreasonable. 0845 6060 973. Unreasonable requests from your boss. I'm going to be talking to Joe Parkinson at about 9:30. Is that definite? It's not definite. Who's she been seeing?
She was at the premiere of Kung Fu Panda.
Oh, yeah. Jack Black, right? Jack Black and somebody who's more famous than that.
Dustin Hoffman.
Dustin Hoffman. What's Dustin Hoffman doing in Kung Fu Panda? Making a lot of money, I would guess. Here's Colin Banstead. Oh, Charlotte.
Hello, Nick.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm great, mate.
I just wanted to talk about this alien story in the paper.
Yes.
This lady said it's made of metal. It doesn't walk. It sort of rolls on wheels. It's about 4 foot tall.
Yep.
It sounds like one of the Daleks in Doctor Who.
Yes, it does.
Doesn't it? And it says it speaks in deep robotic voices.
Yeah.
Like Doctor Who.
That's right. And the Sun seems to still be the only paper that's carrying this.
Yeah.
And all of this other stuff, all of this, somebody was deeply unpleasant to somebody else, and your petrol is up, and, this, that, and the other. I think all of these stories pale into insignificance if there's even a scintilla of truth in this UFO story. It'll be the biggest story ever.
Do you actually believe in this, the alien?
Well, if you'd asked me last week, I'd say no. But there seems to be something happening.
Right. But wouldn't you think they would be more like us? If there was life out there.
Why?
I don't know.
Why? Because we are so physically perfect.
I don't think there'd be robots. How could they be metal? Because how would they build themselves if they're metal?
How would they
you know
build
what
themselves?
I mean? They've got to build themselves.
Right.
Haven't they? I mean, they're
I
metal.
suppose so,
They're
yeah.
not flesh and blood, are they?
Well, you're making a lot of sense, yeah.
You know what I mean?
I'll investigate further. Thanks a lot, Charlotte.
Oh, can I just mention
Go on.
something? You're not going to like it. Can't we put Concords on the false print?
Yeah, I'll do that straight away. What is it about that winged phallic instrument that excites her so much? Close encounters on the A5. This is the Super Soaraway Stun today. There's been so many sightings, not by drunk nutters, but, by Air Force pilots, by people in the army, by policemen, the upstanding members of the community. Just recently, in more or less the same place, there's something going on somewhere. We don't quite know what it is. It might not be aliens, but if it isn't, then there's something awry. Let me just take the... do I press OK on this? God, here we go again. Or I'm going to shut the whole thing down. I'm going to get a man in. Here we go. You fix it, Raj. I just kept pressing OK, OK, OK. There you go. Excellent. I did it myself. A40. Hello, Christopher.
Hi there.
Yes,
I was
sir.
listening with some amusement to your guy who was objecting to the Arabian Gulf being called the Persian Gulf or vice versa.
Yeah.
Well, I've lived in the Middle East for 3 or 4 years. The Persians call it the Persian Gulf, but the Arabians call it the Arabian Gulf.
Right.
So either is right.
Thank you very much, Christopher.
Not a bit.
Cheers for that. See, it's like an education, this programme, ain't it?
No.
No, you're right. No, it isn't, no. Right, UFO sightings. Now, I do find it bizarre that no other paper is even mentioning this. And you'd think that they would, even if they weren't interested in the actual story, surely for the Guardian or the Independent, something like that, would report that the Sun is reporting it. They'd do a little wry piece about our daft tabloid chums are actually giving newspaper space to this nonsense. But the more I read, the less like nonsense it seems. Except for the story today, which you think, I don't know. A mum who insists she was abducted by aliens on the A5 said yesterday, I knew they would be back. Rosemary Hawkins, 53, recalled her close encounter on the Shropshire Road after we reported a spate of new UFO sightings in the area, the we being the Sun. They're all over this story like a rash. She was returning home from a June night out with 2 pals 27 years ago. 27 years ago? I only just noticed that this is 27 years ago. Oh, well, I'll press on regardless. When their car was enveloped by a bright light that they believed was a spacecraft. They made statements to police, then told separately, under hypnosis, how they had seen 4-foot aliens dressed in green who spoke with gruff, robotic voices.
Affirmative.
Like that. Rosemary, Valerie Walters and Viv Hayward, all in their late 20s, were heading home to Telford from a Shrewsbury disco where they'd only drunk cola. It was around 2 a.m, and Viv was driving her Avenger saloon when they spotted hovering lights near the hamlet of Atcham. Mum of 3 Rosemary recalled the lights became blinding. It became obvious we were looking at a UFO. It followed us along the road. We were very frightened. Viv tried putting her foot down, but it was as if the brakes were on, and the lights dipped, and the craft disappeared. They drove straight to Telford Police Station to report their out-of-body experience, but a journey that should have taken them 20 minutes took an extra half hour. The women were convinced that during the lost 30 minutes, they were held, unharmed, on a UFO. All right, this is beginning to sound ludicrous, this, isn't it, really? But the stories before sounded like there was actually something going on. I'll continue. They later agreed to be hypnotised and gave chillingly similar accounts, even scrawling near identical drawings. Expert Harold Harris said at the time, "I've no doubt this UFO existed," and Police Chief Norman said, "I'm satisfied this is not a hoax." Archives show, Rosemary said, "Bright lights, white, tinged with yellow and red. No sound. I'm floating, and I'm not in the car anymore with Viv or Val. I feel big and bloated." And there's a picture of her, looking big and bloated. That's exactly what she looks like. "There's something coming. It's metal. It doesn't walk. It sort of rolls on wheels. It's about 4 foot tall, round at the top, with a round body and round legs. Good grief, it's Anthony Worrell Thompson." "It's looking at me," she said. "There's more coming. It's the same noise. They haven't got a face. Their heads move up and down. That's how I know they're talking. They don't seem to be nasty." Later she added, "I'm floating again. I'm in the car now. Val and Viv are there with me. Viv's got her foot down hard on the accelerator. We're trying to get away from it." Viv subsequently emigrated to Canada, where, in South Park, Canadians all talk with their heads bouncing up and down. Remember? Val, now 52, told under hypnosis how she'd seen a female alien. The mum of 2 said last night, "If I'd seen a woman, or rather I'd seen a woman-like creature dressed in long green robes. The creatures kept feeling my clothes and my hair. I wasn't afraid then, but frightened of what was happening." The aliens spoke in monotone, deep, robotic voices. Yesterday the Sun told how soldiers recently spotted a fleet of 13 UFOs over Turnhill Barracks near Market Drayton in Shropshire. 3 hours later, 2 cabaret singers claimed that they were pursued by a light in the sky on the very same road. Rosemary added, "The new sightings don't surprise me. I've always known there is something out there which we cannot explain." Right, well, that did seem a little bit... You could just file that with all the other... no, I'm not saying they're nutters, but you would file that with the cases that you would think that that's where they go, in the nutter file.
How do we know this isn't just a very well-planned and elaborate hoax? That someone is actually taking lights on a plane or something and flashing them at random people, but just for a laugh.
Well, yes, except that these soldiers didn't see one set of lights. They saw 13 dancing in the sky. And it wasn't just one soldier on his own, drunk, late at night, on guard duty. It was about 3, 4. It was a small group of them. And they were taking photographs of it on their mobile phones. You'd think that you'd be able to tell the difference. Here's another story. A fleet of UFOs has been spotted above Liverpool by hundreds of people, sparking alien invasion fears. Ex-cop Steve saw 13 orange orbs last Monday at 9:30 p.m. with daughter Emma, who filmed them on her mobile. Another man captured footage and radio stations were jammed with callers reporting sightings. They would say. One said they looked as if they were searching for somewhere to land. Liverpool could now face an alien invasion. I wouldn't think they want to land in Liverpool. Go for a little stroll about, they get back, their spaceship will be on bricks. We revealed yesterday, said the Sun, how soldiers in Shropshire spotted a similar fleet of 13 UFOs. Here's another story. Schoolboy Sean Williams photographed a UFO on the same day that 3 soldiers reported that they had a mystery sighting. Sean, 12, went out to snap a light aircraft performing stunts above his home in Llanelli in South Wales. This was on June the 7th. Later, he looked at the pictures on his digital camera and realised he'd also captured a saucer shape against a clear blue sky. He said, I couldn't believe it when I looked at my pictures. So, OK, well, explain all that then. Not the two nice ladies getting sucked up into a spaceship, but all the rest of it. You can't, really, can you? Smarty pants.
Maybe they were making it up.
Maybe they were making it up. It did come after that very complicated crop circle, which you actually had to have explained to you that it was a pictorial representation of the number pi. That was spotted in the field one day. The very next day, they were spotting, soldiers were spotting 13 craft, and hundreds of people in Liverpool were spotting craft in the sky above their fair city.
Yeah, but that pi crop circle was man-made.
How do you know that?
Stupid thing to say.
Well, how do you know that? You don't know that. You're just guessing.
So you think aliens came down? Well, crop circles have been proven to be made by man.
Some have. It's true. Some have. Not all of them. The look of disdain on his face. 8:15. LBC Travel with Alan Joyce.
Thank you, Nick. The A23.
Yes. Right there, this is the story about what might be construed as unreasonable behaviour by management. A meat company supplying Tesco has been accused of Dickensian employment practices by making workers clock off when they go to the toilet. One worker said staff felt angry that time spent in the toilet was not included in their working week. The firm said the policy was part of a deal agreed with workers and unions to ensure production ran smoothly. The employee, who asked not to be named, said that a single toilet break could take up to 10 minutes. He said we have to clock out, take off our wellies, our overalls and our hairnets. We have to run up the stairs and then come back in and get dressed again. Office staff and managers were exempt from the rules. Brown Brothers Managing Director Martin agreed that the staff were not paid for toilet breaks, but said it was part of a special pay deal agreed with the workers and the union to ensure the smooth running of the production line. Oh, well, fair enough then. Right? Unscheduled toilet breaks could cause significant disruption, especially as staff wore protective clothes, he said. It's better to come up with a deal to discourage that from happening. Now, does that sound reasonable to me? To you? To me? I'm asking myself. Does it sound reasonable to me? Yes. Answering my own question. Does that sound reasonable to you? So they asked the unions, they came up with a deal. It says you clock off when you go to the loo, because it'll take you 10 minutes to getting all your kit off and putting it all back on again. Now, if you go to the loo, like 3 times a day, 4 times, 5, 10 times, well, if you go 6 times, that's an hour. Completely unreasonable. So better to clock off, they'll be quicker about it, and, they've come up with a deal to cover that. So that sounds reasonable, right? Staff received extra money as part of the pay deal, which was aimed at focusing toilet breaks at set times of the day. He says, they've already been paid to manage their own lavatorial affairs. A spokesman for Unite said that Tesco should take responsibility for the working practice. Tesco? He says they pick their suppliers and sign up to ethical codes. We think they should intervene and stop it. A Tesco spokesman said they took issues of labour standards very seriously and require suppliers to meet those standards, but they did not plan to intervene. Well, I wouldn't think so. Well, businesses are theirs. How ludicrous. Anyway, that's the workers moaning and whining and complaining because they have to clock off when they go to the loo, which seems fair to me. I think that people should clock off when they go and take a fag outside. I mean, every time you go past a building now, there's like 3 or 4 people in a huddle, while everybody inside the building who isn't hooked on nicotine is working. Well, they might not actually be working, but they're working hard at looking like they're working, which is actually more difficult than working itself. So that doesn't seem that unreasonable to me, but it might to you. You might have been the victim of unreasonable behaviour by your boss. So all stories gratefully received. I had I worked as an overnight security guard quite a few years ago now in Queen's Park. And it was a lorry park where lorries parked. Yes, that's exactly what they did there. And on my first night, they said, I thought this was completely unreasonable. Here's the day's takings. Can you go and put it in the bank? Which it was at night, and of course they got these drawers that you tap in a code, or you got a key, right? You pull the drawer open and you throw the money in and you shut it up. Well, that's the last thing I wanted to do on my own, the day's takings, at a time when the day's takings usually get taken to the bank. So in other words, any perp or crim who was watching out knew exactly when the money would be leaving the yard and the route that I was to take, which was about 5 minutes away by car. In fact, probably by foot it was 5 minutes away. It was about 2 turns and you were there. And of course I got completely, totally and utterly lost. This was before mobile phones were very common, but they had a radio in the cab. And I thought, I'll just call back to base and see if I can't get them to talk me back, thinking that I would just be talking to them personally. But I was talking to the entirety of London. Every single person in a lorry from this company, which was hundreds of people, heard the new dope trying to get talked back from literally 400 yards away in a car with a bag full of cash. What an idiot I felt. But I thought that was completely unreasonable to give a job like that to me, a newbie, which was potentially very dangerous indeed. So that's a tiny story to get you going. Unreasonable behaviour by your bosses. No names, please. 0845 6060 973, or indeed anything else you like. And here's one on the A12. Hello, Carl.
I was just listening to what you were saying earlier on about these aliens.
Yeah.
Always intrigues me is that if there is intelligent life out there, why do they present themselves to absolute fruitcakes and nutters on this planet, and never to eminent world leaders, scientists, etc.?
Well, they haven't. They're not fruitcakes and nutters this time around. They were people from the army. They were helicopter pilots. Upstanding members of the community.
That's the.
Yeah, and they weren't.
I didn't catch the beginning of the story, so I switched the radio and went,
yes.
aha!
They weren't civilian helicopter pilots either. They were armed forces helicopter pilots who tried to give chase.
They've probably been taking so many so many things to keep them awake during combat that there could have been a bit of hurt.
I think you're grasping at straws, Carl.
Hallucination there. And it's very much like these people that, used to see the Loch Ness Monster. It was always grainy pictures, wasn't it?
Well, yes, that does seem like a load of old nonsense.
And the other thing, I'm just listening just now, is you're saying about people going outside for a cigarette break, have their pay stopped. I gave up smoking in March, just stopped, and I've decided that it's actually damaged my health by giving up smoking. Because
giving up?
Yep, because every hour when I was smoking, about once an hour, I'd get up from my desk, go outside and have a cigarette. I give up smoking, so I'm not getting up, not leaving my desk. 1 month later, I'm in hospital with a pulmonary embolism caused by a DVT from the fact that I haven't moved about enough.
Right. Well, there's nothing funny about that, really.
That's something for the people that are considering giving up smoking to think about. That if you do give up smoking, follow your colleagues outside when they have a cigarette and stretch your legs.
Right. Well, that's probably very good advice. Thanks very much, Carl.
Rightio.
Mind you, nothing would actually get done in this country. If everybody got up en masse every hour to stand around outside for 15 minutes, well, I mean, the country would come to a grinding halt. But sitting in the same chair for 8 hours a day is pretty much the same, will give you more or less the same risk as taking a flight from New York, as far as getting that pulmonary embolism. Oh, I probably got that one right. You want to wear those attractive flight socks. I think you'd look good in a pair of those, Raj. Here's Colin Heathrow. Hello, Steve.
Hi, how are you guys, all right?
Very well, thanks.
I'm just listening to these Siggy breaks. I used to run a packaging company just outside Heathrow and one in China. Now, I don't know if you know, in China, they do have a tendency to smoke a lot. And this is before the laws were introduced in just outside Heathrow in my business. I had a bunch of people come up to me and say, "Hey, these smokers are taking on average 10 minutes to 15 minutes for a smoke. By the time they've gone downstairs, lit up, had their smoke and come back up."
Mm-hmm.
And there are about 15, 20 of them doing this. Now, we worked out they've taken an hour and a half off every day. Could you pay us for that? A bit of a difficult, sticky one, that one. It really, really causes a big problem. And the way we overcame it was we simply just banned ciggy breaks completely and asked people to clock in and out as well. And that was the only solution. But in China, we had an entirely different situation where the entire staff just gave up smoking.
Really?
They created a pact and said, right, for health reasons, for personal health reasons, they just stopped smoking. So, I'm not sure how easy this one is, these toilet breaks we talk about and people taking unauthorized breaks. But we were losing, on average, every month around £2,500 to £4,000 on ciggy breaks.
Well, every time I go past the building and I see people outside, it does occur to me that they're really skiving off. I mean,
it's difficult. I mean, we've got business. We used to have a small business in Turkey as well, where they are really. A lot of my staff were chain smokers.
Yeah.
I don't have an issue with that, but when the non-smokers come up and say, "Hang on, we don't take these breaks."
Yeah, well, right. Yeah, exactly. So when you banned fag breaks, weren't there people up in arms about that?
Right. Well, we had the unions up in arms about it. Yeah. We had the doctors and nurses come round because it had psychological effect on people working.
Right.
I sometimes think we're turning into a bunch of softies. And
I'm amazed that you got away with it.
Well, we had to. We introduced this clocking in system, and as I said, we had to do a lot of negotiating, and the negotiating paid off. I mean, in the process, we thought we were going to have a mass walkout.
Well, I bet. Yeah. Listen, Steve, I've got to go, but thanks for that.
All right.
Cheers, mate. This is LBC 97.3. You can call me on 0845 6060 973. Coming up to 8:30. LBC on 97.3. News time now, 8:30.
Absolutely.
Are people really getting behind Andy Murray? That is really grasping at straws, isn't it? That is just desperate. Is that the same Andy Murray who expressed his dislike for English? The English and England, and he would back anybody that was playing against us just so that we would lose. Is it the same Andy Murray who said something along those lines?
I can't confirm that. I don't know.
Right. I think it probably is, yeah. That chippy Scotch geezer, I'd be quite happy to see him slink away. It's like somebody's superglued a bushel of armpit hair to his head. I think he's got the same stylist as Jeremy Clarkson. He just looks weird. Maybe that's why he's so upset all the time. What I started this evening with was Gordon Brown standing up and telling us something that we didn't want to know. At his very lowest ebb, he is digging himself in further, which made him, I think, more likeable. Not likeable exactly, but more impressive. Back to how we did think of him when he first took power. And this is the story, and it's, well, you won't like it. Gas bills are going to rocket by 37% to pay for Britain's £100 billion green energy revolution. Now, whether you believe that we are going to boil because of global warming or not, one thing is certain. We have to reduce our reliance on fossil fuels. Do we not? Yes, we do. We've got to stop using so much oil. We've got to stop using so much coal. We've got to do something else, basically, something that is more renewable. Because even if, as I say, you don't believe in global warming, London's a really dirty place. I mean, there's no two ways about it. It's filthy. Wouldn't it be nice for it to be cleaner? So it came as Gordon Brown signalled taxes are going to have to rise to combat climate change. A 37% rise in gas tariffs would mean households paying £209 more a year on average. Lecky bills up by 15%. Millions of homeowners, and that's 53 quid. So you add those two together and it's 262. £262 a year to save the planet. That doesn't seem like a very big price to pay. Millions of homeowners are already paying a 14% surcharge on electricity and 3% on gas for government-led action on global warming. But at an energy conference in London today, Mr Brown laid bare the spiralling cost of the switch from oil and gas to nuclear, wind, solar and other technologies. Despite rising energy prices, he stressed that he wouldn't be deflected from taking action through higher environmental taxes, and there's no way that would be received positively by anybody. I mean, you might think that it's the right thing to do, but it's the last thing you actually want to hear, right? Things are about to get more expensive. So I was quite impressed with this, because as I said before, he could have just ignored it, and capitulated to the lobby that is demanding lower the taxes on petrol, because you're killing us. Well, he's going to do exactly the opposite, which I think puts him in good standing. It makes him sound more impressive, rather than, if Tony was still in power, he'd probably just blow the way the wind is going, right? If we all wanted him to do one thing, well, he'd do it with a smile and maintain his popularity. I think occasionally, or in fact really often, politicians have to tell you something that you don't want to hear for your own good. Like Mummy, you know. So despite rising energy prices, he wouldn't be deflected from taking action. He said the threat of climate change is a threat to the prosperity and the security of the whole world. No one should underestimate the scale of this endeavour. And I think the people who are saying, oh no it isn't, are becoming more and more isolated. They're beginning to sound like flat earthers. Joan. He said, it'll require real leadership from government. And he's right about that. But that's the last thing that government is really interested in doing. They just would rather tell us what we want to know so that they'll remain popular and get voted in next time. Which is why change is so very difficult, because whatever the outcome is, nobody actually wants change. Being prepared to make hard decisions on planning or on tax, for example, rather than tacking and changing according to the polls, said Gordon Brown. That's what he is suggesting is the way forward. And it is. Tacking and changing according to the polls. And I think that that's as much an attack on the Conservatives as it is on on the previous incumbent. The final cost of completing the switch to green energy is £100 billion, which in banking circles is known as a great deal of money. The government blueprint says an extra 4,000 onshore and 3,000 offshore wind turbines are going to be needed, and hundreds of thousands of green-collar jobs will be green-collar, hey, there's a new one, will be created. The cost of gas in Lecky will soar due to government levies to subsidise greener technology, though ministers argue that in the long term, bills will come down. That's right. If we take action now, which is going to be difficult... I mean, you remember when Maggie, out was starting her little revolution. It was very, very hard indeed. But you'd have to be blind and deaf and, well, just blind and deaf, not to notice that Britain is a much better place now than it was in the early 1970s, when it was a right bloomin' mess. I mean, just look at the Sweeney. Everything was a bombed-out shell. The government blueprint, oh, I've read that bit. Such large rises in bills would test Mr Brown's resolve, given that many voters, while backing greener measures, go cold when they realise that they will be hit hard in the pocket. Exactly right. We'd all rather... I mean, we'd like to save the planet. We'd like London to be cleaner. We'd like electricity to eventually be cheaper, and we'd like to not rely on oil so much. But we'd rather somebody else went through all the deprivations and privations to get to that point. We'd rather we just carried on enjoying ourselves under our patio heater and driving our 4x4, which gets 15 miles to the gallon, and going on holidays by plane and so on and so forth. I know I would. The Prime Minister is already under pressure from Labour's MPs to do a U-turn on higher road tax for older cars. And you know what? He shouldn't do it. Environmentalists backed the strategy. Of course they did. Greenpeace Executive Director John said, we could create jobs, reduce our dependence on foreign oil, and in the long run, our power bills will come down. And it is a long game, but politics isn't usually in it for the long term. They're after short-term gains, because they know they aren't going to be around very long. And long-term isn't popular with the electorate, because we can't think that far, especially now, when our attention span is so very short. Here's a story that I've been carrying around for a little while. Talking about attention span, we want instant results. We want it now, and that's what politics has become all about, which is why politicians are all just TV-friendly ciphers. They're all just masks with smiles. They don't say anything that's going to frighten the horses too much, because they're interested not in the eventual welfare of the country, more the short-term benefit to them personally, because, they're people. I would be like that if I was doing their job, and so I would guess would most of you. Short attention spans. This was... I couldn't believe this when I read this. Youngsters no longer have the attention span to listen to a 3-minute pop song. Can you believe that? Almost 90% of 18 to 24-year-olds said they listened to only a part of a song before skipping tracks. A third said they tuned in for 30 seconds. A third of 18 to 24-year-olds can only be bothered to listen to 30 seconds of a song. It were grand when I were a lad. People used to release albums. You remember albums, don't you?
No.
That had themes. Prog rock, they called it. Henry and his 8 wives. No, Henry VIII and his multiple wives on ice. And we used to sit through that nonsense. And, Dark Side of the Moon. There is no Dark Side of the Moon, or as a matter of fact, it's all dark. They would never get to that point, which is at the end of the album, because they'd be switching off after the first 4 heartbeats. I am stunned. Why are they all going to Glastonbury? They're going to be running from one stage to the next after half a minute of Amy. Well, no, they'll actually stand there and watch Amy, won't they? Just to see if she doesn't fall down or not. That's on this week. You've all made a big mistake. It's 175,000 people go to Glastonbury now, all of whom are stuck in a traffic jam at the moment because there's a fire nearby. Well, it's not beyond the wit of man to put out a fire, is it? I mean, it's not a nuclear power station that's on fire. It's just something in a field, right? How's that blocked up the roads until tomorrow afternoon? Good grief. Get on with it. Seriously. People are missing their muesli or their flapjacks or whatever it is that they eat over there now. Let's have a conspiracy theorist in South Norwood, Tony.
Hi there.
Hey, Tony.
Hi there. This Gordon Brown announcement about wind farms, whatever you want to call them.
Yeah.
I agree. It's actually a good idea, but I don't believe he's doing it for altruistic reasons.
Go on.
I think he wants to leave. He knows he's going to get sound thrashing at the next election. They know that. They know that, and they just want to leave the Tories with a poison chalice, which they won't be able to sort out in 5 years, which will give them a better chance of getting re-elected because they can say the Tories said they were going to cut taxes and they haven't, because they would have left them with so many commitments that they won't be able to do it. And it's all a part of a long-term... You're right. When you said it's a long-term strategy, you're right. But it's not all about conserving energy. I think some of it is about getting re-elected as a Labour government in 7 years' time or whatever it is.
Wow. How did we ever get so cynical, Tony?
I don't know. I think, listening to Nick Ferrari.
Right. Just experience of life has made us that way.
I think you're probably right, yeah.
All right, well, that's an interesting angle. Thanks for that.
Cheers, bye-bye.
Mate, ta-da. So he's just poisoning the ground for any future administration. I don't believe that he probably thinks that it's possible he's going to lose the next election, but I don't think that it's a complete lost cause in his mind. It's not too long ago, it's just a year when he was much more popular than Tony Blair. I mean, his popularity rating was through the roof, can you remember? Just a year ago when he took over, everybody thought, oh, what blessed relief. An actual real human being, rather than a chameleon who drops his H's and goes on afternoon television and hangs with Richard and Judy, or whatever the youthful expression is these days. We thought, great, a real human being. And we loved it. And then in very short order, a lot of the problems that had nothing to do with him, we came to saddle him with. There was an interesting look at that in the Times today by someone called Mary Ann Sieghart. I might read you a little bit of that in a minute. First of all, Chelsea. Hello, Jonathan. Oh, Jonathan, can I take you just after this short break?
Sure.
Good man. 8:45. LBC Travel with Alan Joyce.
Thanks, Nick. Still a fit.
Well, let's get back to it.
Thanks for waiting, Jonathan. Cheers for that.
Thanks for having me on. That's okay.
Now, what can I do for you?
I guess wanted to have my little 5-minute rant about Gordon Brown's statements and policy around.
Rightio, rant away.
Okay, so I think I'm very cynical about what's going to happen with any funds that come back into the Treasury concerning reinvestment. I think don't get me wrong, I think it's a good thing, it's a responsible thing to be doing, a brave thing to be doing, but I'm just cynical of the rationale behind it.
Right.
I don't believe it's for altruistic reasons at all. I mean, we've got problems with too many cars on the road, so taxes are increased, running a car's increased, but it doesn't bring the problem of too many cars on the road. Doesn't bring.
Well, actually, that's not actually true. Statistic after statistic has shown that fewer car journeys are being taken just lately as a direct result of the increasing cost of running your car. So it is actually having a positive effect. Slowly, I mean, all change starts slowly, but it seems to be moving in the right direction, though.
But I don't think that's going to solve the issue, though, of too many cars on the roads, or the fact that those numbers are set to rise, because they will. The cars will rise year on year. Every time we build a new lane on a motorway, more cars start using the motorway. So you end up with more congestion.
No, I don't buy that argument that build more roads and there are more cars. That's just a silly argument. I don't understand why people even say that.
Well, I think that many of the organisations like the AEA have been saying that for years. I mean, I'm not agreeing with it or disagreeing. I'm just saying these problems don't tend to get solved by just putting blanket taxes on problems. People still use planes. They still go on holiday. And they just pay more money for it, those that can.
Yeah, up to a certain point, you're right, yeah. But once you get over the point at which people feel comfortable paying the price, then they start to change their behaviour. People will cling on to their behaviour because no one likes to change. But after a certain point, if you can't, well, let's take something that's not cars. Let's take strawberries, for instance. Everybody likes strawberries. They're £2.50 a punnet or whatever. If they became £3, well, you say, oh, well, what the hell, I still like strawberries. If they were £10, you'd eat something else, right?
Yeah, but again, we're talking about things that are essentials, not luxuries. And
well, no, we aren't really. I mean, most people,
travel, for instance, on airplanes is an essential. Companies have to do business abroad.
Well, yeah, that's no. Well, see, there again, you're kind of wrong, because you don't have to go to abroad these days to take part in a conference. You can just pick up the phone. You can have a video link conference. There's all sorts of ways to communicate that don't involve getting on a jet.
I agree with it. I mean, I travel weekly on aeroplanes for a living, and it's one of the reasons why I'm very cynical about what's going on, because the industry I work in is all about regulatory compliancy. So. It's a massive industry. The second that government, whether in Europe or in a particular country, be that Germany or the UK, creates regulation around an industry, huge consulting opportunity, huge industry is created, and governments and treasuries are one of the beneficiaries in the form of enforcing that regulation and finding those who don't comply with it.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of government consultancy revenue that's generated from that as well. So, I'm glad about the whole thing, and, I hear what you're saying. You're doing a good job being devil's advocate in that, on this issue, but I just wonder how well this money will be spent, and whether, what kind of, success criteria has been, laid down by the government, where we're going to move to something that's greener or sustainable. I just have my doubts about that.
I think we've got to the point where we just don't believe anything anybody in the government says on any issue. We always assume that they're covering something up, they're lying directly, or there's some hidden agenda.
I think the agenda's always going to be, I mean, we've got, the government has a problem with the budget. The economic climate isn't very good, and a revenue opportunity presents itself, and people are naturally going to have their doubts on one of them, that this is being done for altruistic reasons and not for balancing the government's coffers.
Right.
But, I think, don't get me wrong, anything like this is a good thing, but, government's notoriously bad at developing infrastructure or any kind of project of this nature. I just hope that it's managed maybe by a group that's not just created from civil service, but maybe from the private sector as well. And the money is well spent, and there's good oversight and visibility for the public to see where their money's going.
Well, fingers crossed, eh? All right.
Yeah, let's hope.
Yes. Thanks for that, Jonathan.
Okay, thanks.
Cheers. Ta-da. Excuse me. 0845 6060 973. Nobody believes anything that anybody says from the government anymore. And when he was saying this, and I thought, wow, how brave. And it's almost committing suicide, being brave in politics, isn't it? You just tell people what they want to hear, stroke their hair and tell them that everything's going to be all right, and then you'll, like as not, keep your job. But here, a man in a giant hole, Gordon Brown, seemed to be digging himself even deeper as far as our affections go. And the Times had a column about this by Mary Ann Sieghart. I'll come to Brentwood and Staines in just a minute, but this is a brief piece about Gordon Brown's first anniversary. When Gordon lies awake at night, unable to sleep, for the if-onlys tumbling around in his mind, he must curse the bad decisions he's taken, or failed to take over the past year. If only I hadn't lit that election fuse. If only I hadn't abolished the 10p tax band. If only I had gripped the Northern Rock crisis. The one regret he ought to have, but probably doesn't, is, if only I hadn't pushed Tony out before his time. Just think. Tony Blair had undertaken in 2005 to serve a full term. In practice, he planned to be Prime Minister for 3 years before handing over to his successor, with a year to go before the next election. So had Mr. Brown been less impatient, less ambitious, less frustrated, had he not shaken the prime ministerial branch so savagely in the autumn of 2006, he would have been entering number 10 about now, instead of diving under the covers, hoping everyone will forget his first anniversary. And he should be taking over from a desperately unpopular Prime Minister, who would be blamed for the credit crunch, the sickly economy, the lost tax discs, and many of the other travails that have instead beset Mr. Brown. Guilty of bad timing, really, that's what you're saying. The new Prime Minister could have launched into his Oscar-worthy performance of being a completely different Gordon Brown, decisive, collegial, open-minded, un-Scottish, amiable, principled, competent. Now he could have said all that instead of last summer. Flattered by the comparison with the battered Mr. Blair, he might have shot up in the polls. And calling an election this autumn would have looked nothing like as opportunistic 3.5 years after the last one as it did last year. Had he had the nerve, he could perhaps have won himself another 4 or 5 years in power. He was lucky as a Chancellor because he ruled over the wealth of the nation at the time when wealth was going up globally. So they say that you're either a lucky Chancellor or an unlucky one. You're kind of blown by the financial markets and you have very little control over what happens. You just happen to be holding that position when everyone's feeling great or not, and are either credited with it or blamed, as the case may be. So he was a very lucky Chancellor, but he's been a very unlucky Prime Minister. And she's quite right. If he'd just stayed a Chancellor for a year and let Tony suffer all this, as opposed to just flying away into the land of milk and money, as he did, remaining the Teflon king. None of this actually stuck to him. Tony Blair must be laughing himself to sleep. Because if he'd kept in the job another year, well, his name would be absolute mud. That's an interesting thought. Staines. Hello, David.
Evening, Nick.
David.
I did hesitate long and hard before calling because, let's face it, whenever you phone into a radio show and begin a conversation about I heard some noises in the sky last night, you're going to be branded something less than the sharpest pin in the box.
Right.
But the short of the story was, my mum, who lives a fairly close distance to me, Sunday into Monday night, she said, did you hear the helicopter last night? And no, I didn't hear anything, and just put it down to her being, my mum. And cut to last night, I got in late from work, and I sort of dozed off, I think, on the sofa about 12:30. Anyway, I heard this really, really, really odd noise, went round to the front of the house and sort of just had a general mosey. Couldn't work it out. It's a really odd kind of, almost like a metal wobble board type of sound. It was just an odd noise.
Yeah.
Saw nothing, saw no lights, thought nothing else of it. Eventually went up to bed. The missus was already asleep, and she spoke to me this morning. Now, bearing in mind, she's had a migraine for the last 3 or 4 days. She woke up, and I said, this noise last night. And she said, well, I saw some odd lights coming through the curtains last night, and this noise was like over the house, and then gone, and then back. And she hesitated to tell me because she thought I'd just blame it on the migraine or, hang on any kind of story like that. And then I began to say, well, in actual fact, I heard that same noise. Now, I didn't see anything. I didn't see any lights, but it was just the oddest of noises. And I work in an industry, I'm fairly used to loud noise and so on. It was just the oddest of noises. Nothing I could put my finger on it.
David, I'm really sorry. I'm up against the news. I'll throw it out there, see if anybody heard it too. This is LBC 97.3.
If your mum buys one...
Yay, I shall answer the phone. Hello?
Brentwood. Hello, David.
Oh, good evening.
Yes, sir.
Can I just make a quick word about Marianne Seagull before I start?
Sure.
Well, she's a well-known Tony Blair groupie, but I won't say anything about the Times because I know you've got a promotion going with them. But, they're well-known for backing Tony Blair, so I'm not surprised that she's come out against Gordon Brown.
Well, no, I think that the Murdoch press are... excuse me, it's a worldwide policy for the Murdoch press to back the winners. They very seldom back the loser in any election.
But they very, very heavily back Tony Blair.
For obvious
she
reasons.
particularly has always backed him.
Right.
If you look at anything she's ever written,
well, anyway, everything that I read out is absolutely true.
Well,
but that doesn't seem to be backing Tony Blair at all.
Matter of opinion, isn't it? I don't think Labour. Nobody could win. Blair knows you. Nobody. You could have Superman running the Labour Party. He'd never win a fourth election. I think I'd rang him before. I thought, Gordon Brown blew it. He should have, when he did it, as he seems to do all the time, if he'd gone to the polls in October, he probably would have won. But he's got no chance of winning it now.
Well, that's not really true either, because as you know,
we'll see, won't we? But,
well, of course, yeah. But your popularity in politics can change from one day to the next.
Yes, but to win 4, to win 3 was a record. To win 4, I think, is almost impossible. And I think, next year is when the recession's going to kick in anyway. So, I don't see him going further up the polls. I think people will, get further disenchanted because Labour always do what they always do. They spend all the money. They had all the good years when, the major government drove inflation out of the system, and they picked up a wonderful economy. And they've been spending money ever since. And
I think.
Cash,
in truth, the main reason why it's difficult for a political party to get 3 or 4 years on the trot, or terms rather on the trot, is because, like everything else, people just get bored essentially, and I think it's as superficial as that. We just think, we want something else now.
We've also got a whole new generation of voters, haven't we, who don't remember the Tories as they were hated back in 97. I thought the Tories would be out for 20 years, but I think they're going to be out for there's no doubt they're going to win the next election, but probably...
Yes, but if we'd had this conversation a year ago today, we would have been coming to completely the opposite conclusion. Anything can happen in the next 5 minutes, let alone about the next year. But anyway, that's not what you called about.
No, it wasn't. No. I was just surprised you still believe in global warming. I basically agree, 99% of what you say. I think you're correct, and absolutely agree. But I'm surprised you bought that hook, line, and sinker. I just don't believe it. I think, it'd be...
But based on what, though?
Well, because it's a policy based on I don't. People are coming round to I mean, Lord Lawson has written a book about it. I mean, he's not well respected because he's a former chancellor and he's not a scientist. But I just don't believe if you look into what's all the scientists are basically paid to do research backing global warming, and I seriously don't believe it. And I think, there is no shortage of oil in this world. There's masses of oil.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be a good idea not to burn so much of it? Wouldn't it be a good idea to be less dependent on the countries that produce it?
Absolutely. You have to ask yourself why is the price of oil going up, and who benefits from all this? Bush is heavily connected with big oil. He benefits from it.
Right. Well, yeah, but he's talking about getting us off dependency on oil.
Well, he talks about it, but they don't do very much about it, do they?
Well, that's exactly what he's just announced today. You're hearing something, and you're still... I don't understand really where you're coming from.
No, I'm saying that, they already have... if you're talking about cars, there's already a very green fuel called hydrogen, which, if they decide to build enough hydrogen stations, and if the manufacturers build enough cars to use it, it's the greenest fuel there is, but they don't because they're not interested, because the oil companies obviously want to promote the use of oil. And we have a diesel shortage, and it's not so much oil, it's just, it's refining capacity for diesel that's driving up the oil price. And I don't think ultimately there's any shortage of oil, and I don't think taxing it, Brown goes out there and asks them to pump out more oil, but the main reason why it's going up because 75% of it is tax.
Yes, but is it...
Tell me, the tax that they get from what you spend on fuel is actually spent on green policies. It's spent on spending money on other areas.
Nobody ever said that the tax on fuel was to be spent on green policies, and no one has ever said that.
No, so why did he come and say, we have to raise green taxes? It's pointless, isn't it?
Yeah, but that's on... that'll be on electricity and gas. It's not pointless. I'm getting a little bit, I am cynical myself, but good grief. As a country, blimey, talk about depressing. It's like we don't believe in anything anymore. Everything that anybody says, we automatically go to the absolute worst possible reason for them saying it. Good morning. What do you mean, good? It's a bit wearying, really. When did we ever get so depressed? When did we ever get so distrusting? Nobody believes anything anymore. Everyone's and cynical doesn't even cover it. It's beyond cynicism. It's as though we think that everything and everyone is evil, and we think the absolute worst that we could possibly imagine of people's intentions. I think that's the newspaper's fault. It's a constant diet of the Daily Mail and the Sun and, all the rest of those guilty parties telling us that everyone's a liar and nobody means it and they've only got your worst interests at heart. I'm getting a little bit tired of it. Wouldn't it be nice to transport ourselves back to the 1960s when we, like 1967, for instance? Let's stick some flowers in our hair and actually believe that the future might be groovy. That we could effect a change for the better. I know that mindset, that hippie mindset, disappeared after a short period. Around about 1972, I think it dissipated. But for a while there, so I hear, it was a beautiful place to be. But now, God, blimey. Well, I actually hope that the callers that we've had tonight aren't representative of the nation as a whole. In fact, I don't believe that. Not everybody thinks the worst of everybody, surely. I think that we seem to be on a bit of in a rut as far as the news reporting is going. We seem to be like masochists, sticking the skewer in and twisting it in ourselves, revelling in our own misery. Now, I know we are a kind of traditionally a depressive little country, and we like to moan and grumble, but I think this has gone a step louder. Is it just me? Have I lost my mind, Raj?
No.
That's your considered response, is it? No. Oh, right. Oh, that's good. Let's have Crouch End. Hello, Damien.
Yeah, if politicians would
tell the truth or answer a question directly and admit when they were wrong, people wouldn't be so cynical.
Well, that's true.
They are just...
Press 1 if you would like to talk to a radio show host.
Say again?
Go ahead. Sorry about that.
I apologise. Gordon Brown, poor fella. I mean, like you say, a year ago, nobody would have said anything bad about him. But now even Robert Mugabe's blaming him for stuff. He can't win, can he?
No, wherever he turns, people are frowning at him, yeah.
You've got the biggest tyrant in the world blaming him for stuff. I mean, where can he go from there?
Only up.
Only up, indeed. The call earlier on about the aliens, there's been a lot of that in the papers recently.
Yes.
And I think that's down to the Dead Man Wed season. Or it could be that they're just coming to see if the price of petrol is true or not. It's been reported around the galaxy that it's £1.31 for diesel, and they're just coming to confirm.
Yeah, they just had to see it themselves, yeah.
Yeah,
It's the what season, did you say?
The Dead Man Wed season, it's something to do with reporting when there's nothing in the newspaper. So there was nothing in the newspaper, and someone wrote a story about a dead man that got married. And that's meant to point to the time of the year where there's not a lot of news stories about. I might be completely wrong, but I heard it somewhere.
The Dead Man Wed season.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a new one on me. Thanks for that, Damien.
I'm not finished.
Oh, right. Carry on, then.
No, my main point was, is this, I was listening for so long I picked up, was about wind farms.
Yes.
I've just been to the multiplex up near the O2 Arena to watch a film.
Oh, yeah.
And apparently the Sainsbury's next door is run completely on solar power and a wind turbine.
Is it?
Well, apparently. I mean, I can't confirm this because I don't work there or I didn't put it in. But there are buildings that are completely run by these wind turbines. But you hear of a lot of people applying for them, and the application getting turned down simply because locals or neighbours complain that it spoils our view. Yeah? And that is not good enough anymore. Yeah?
No, I agree
5 years
with you.
ago, it was okay. Now, Gordon Brown wants to leave a legacy because he's not going to leave much else. Just lots of people are going to be... Gordon Brown, he was a disaster. But he could bring through some legislation and say, look, saying it spoils our view is not good enough. If you can put up a wind turbine and reduce your emissions by 50, even 100%, the only reason we'll turn down planning application is because it'll chop your head off when you walk out the door.
Right.
What do you reckon?
Or you'll get, it'll attach itself to your clothes and you'll go around like Windy Miller. Yeah.
But you dry your clothes quicker that way, you've saved even more money.
Well, now you're really making sense.
You know.
Thanks a lot, Damien.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Cheers, ta-ra. Yeah, he's right about that. We really have to do something. Whether it's about global warming or not is completely irrelevant. We have to start grasping different forms of power. You know that nice fellow who makes the multicoloured vacuum cleaners and those groovy hand dryers that are springing up all over the place. You know those blasting hand dryers that's just a tube and you hold your hands under it. Well, he's got a new thing. The guy with the multicoloured vacuum cleaners, he's got a thing where you put your hand in, almost like a plastic envelope, and it dries it almost instantaneously. The thing that he's come up with could be a world changer. Never mind about cleaning up after your dog, and I'll tell you about that as I come back. 9:15. LBC Travel with Alan Joyce.
Thanks, Nick. In Tooting, there's still a
Everything is going extremely well.
I might have just found the reason that the Sun has been talking about UFOs, and the only paper to be talking about them. Now, I might be disagreeing with myself just now by going along with this conspiracy theory and thinking negatively about all this, but interesting to note, and I believe it's a Fox production, isn't it? The X-Files new movie is coming out on August the 1st. Interesting. Now, I would never have put those two together without the email that I'm holding in the palm of my hand. I'm holding in my hand a piece of paper, and it says just that. So maybe that's it. It's the beginning of the publicity wind-up for the new X-Files movie. But if so, I mean, if so, they made it up. They made it up. They made the soldiers up. They made the helicopter pilots up. They made 100 people in Liverpool up. They made it all up. That seems unlikely. Unless these sort of things happen all the time and have reasonable explanations. It's just that the press don't publish them because they think that they're all nutters. And so the Sun has chosen to publish them, publish stories which they ordinarily would have ignored, just in order to ramp up the excitement for the new X-Files movie. Which I think is a bit bizarre. Why on earth are they making a new X-Files movie? That TV show hasn't been on the air. But nobody's been interested in that show for at least a decade. I think it's a strange thing to bring back. Let's have Sutton. Anita.
Oh, good evening to you.
Anita.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
You can. I'm so upset again.
Oh, no.
Mr. Gordon Brown crushed a rebellion, it's in the paper today, over changes to planning laws, paving the way for nuclear power stations and wind farms across Britain.
That's right.
Now he's getting an unelected, unaccountable quango, decisions for major planning.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to be in their hands. And he plans to have 10 up to 20 of these nuclear reactors plants across Britain.
But don't you think that's a good idea?
No, I don't. He's made a contract with Sarkozy that England will do, sort out all the waste from Europe.
Right. Well, that's a bad idea.
Well, exactly, and this is what he's done. And he's also saying to all the councils around England, look, I'll reward you if you can find somewhere in your council area to bury this stuff.
Right.
Now, and he's going to reward them.
School gymnasiums, that sort of thing.
Well, he's not having it in Scotland at all. He's not having any nuclear plants up there. Why can't we have hydroelectric plants? Romania has a big one. Abu Simbel, look at the big one there. Chile. I mean, they are cheap. It's natural from all the rivers.
Don't you have to? Yeah, doesn't that need fast-flowing big rivers?
We've got plenty of those across
really.
England. We have. I mean, the thing is, as I say, we are going to be a jumping ground for nuclear waste. What is wrong with this country? I mean, I mean, it takes 10,000 years for that ever to be degraded. I mean, he's going to ruin our country, but not Scotland. Do you know what I mean? I've got nothing against the Scottish people. I have relatives up there, so I'm not racist against them. I'm racist against ruining England and Wales. I really am so upset.
Okay, well, there was two things
that... What's the matter with the people?
There's two things there that you said that I didn't realise. First was that he wasn't going to put any in Scotland. I didn't realise that. Mm. And the second, and I'm not sure that you're right.
Oh, I'm right.
Hang on.
I'm right.
Hang on a minute.
I wouldn't tell you if I wasn't.
Hang on a minute. I'm not sure that you're right that we're going to be dealing with all of Europe's nuclear waste. That can't be true, surely.
He's already had an agreement, which only was a few weeks ago, with Sarkozy to do away, sort out all his waste. Now, Sarkozy,
but why would we take French nuclear waste?
You tell me. Sarkozy wouldn't do that to the French farmers and say, look, can you do away with nuclear waste under your farms? No, he wouldn't. No, he talks to Gordon Brown and offers him something or other. I mean, it's just so ridiculous.
Maybe an evening with his wife.
The public, please, can we have a vote on this?
Right.
Please.
Okay, thanks, Anita.
Okay.
Cheers. Of course, France is much more nuclear dependent than we are. They have thrown their oar in with the nuclear lobby, and consequently their power bills are significantly cheaper, I believe, than the rest of Europe. So there is perhaps something to be said for that. Of course, apart from the actual nuclear waste, it's, I believe, CO2, it's, what do you call it, pollutant-free, isn't it? There are no CO2 emissions or smoke or anything that goes with that, apart from the deadly nuclear radiation. Let's have Streatham. Oops again. Streatham. Hello, James.
Hello, am I still here?
Yes, James.
Hi, yeah. Just wondering if I could give a quick comment on Gordon Brown's first anniversary.
Oh, yes, go on then.
His first birthday.
Mm-hmm.
I think, what was it? Yeah, happy birthday to me. What was the thing you said at the top of the hour? Didn't he made some announcement today saying taxes will go up and the economy is in freefall or something?
Well, not quite.
You said I missed it. I was showering at the point.
He said that taxes are going to have to go up in order to fund a green power revolution.
Right, I actually think that, there are some people in life who they haven't been able to succeed, so they think I'm going to be the biggest failure possible. I think Gordon Brown and his entire joke cabinet have now thought that, right, the country hates us anyway, let's just see how unpopular we can get. At least we'll, set the record for something.
There may be a hint of truth in that his popularity couldn't go any lower, so this is about the right time to tell us something that we really don't want to know.
Right,
however, but when he did that, my estimation of the man went up, because if an ordinary politician would try and clamber his way out of the hole by telling us a lot of things that we did want to hear.
By lies and deceit.
Yes, and by giving us a little presents. He would capitulate to the oil lobby, who want to knock tax off petrol in order to help us.
Yeah.
Whereas, because it's so expensive, it's actually forcing us to change our behaviour that we were... that we should actually be forced to change anyway. People are ditching larger cars and choosing smaller, girly cars, which we wouldn't have done had we not been pushed to do it.
Yeah.
We're taking fewer car journeys, etc., and so on.
And better for the environment. But no, he's gone up in your estimations because you're a sensible individual. But the general popular, I'm not an advocate of democracy the longer I see, the politics in this country. If you look at what Harriet Harman published today, this anti-discrimination plan.
Yes.
I'm usually quite good at sort of unpacking potential pieces of legislation, but this one's been so dramatically taken by certain newspapers. I went into the newsagents today, and some of the newspapers' headlines were sort of like, Harman legislates to kill able-bodied white men. I really don't know what this legislation, what the purpose of it is, but I do know one thing, that I'm sure the cabinet knew that any sort of anti-discrimination legislation worded like this was going to get the red tops completely red in the face, so to speak.
Yes.
Whatever it's saying. So I think now every morning in cabinet, Gordon Brown just comes in and he goes, right. So what's our poll ratings today? And they say it's 12%. Prime Minister, 12%. I want to it by 7 today, and hopefully by 2010 I'll be on negative figures.
That was uncanny. It was almost like he was in the room with me.
That must be his aim, and then you've got David Cameron in, I don't know, wherever the Conservatives are, going, right lads, let's carry on, going towards the righteous path. We don't quite know what we're doing, but Boris is in charge of London, 2 more years, we'll have Britain under our power, and then we can all return to horses and carriages and whips.
Right.
I don't know, but I really think that the whole cabinet, which is, like, they're not the best looking cabinet, let's be honest,
Well, can you, in all the time that you've been alive, can you remember one good-looking politician? I
can think of 2.
Okay.
I can think of Mandela in his youth.
Well, no, I'm talking about our politicians. Mandela in his youth.
He was very handsome. He was gorgeous.
Really?
And another one, obviously. I just want to say I love you all. Gorgeous.
Okay then. Thanks a lot, James.
Thank you.
And none from this country. Couldn't think of a single one. Who's the best-looking politician that there ever has been from this country? Can you think of one single person that scores above a 4? The story that he was talking about, by the way, was about positive discrimination. Companies that have been encouraged to discriminate in favour of female and black job candidates. A bill proposes. We might talk about that later as well. It's LBC 97.3. It's coming towards 9:30.
London's biggest...
This is LBC 97.3, news time, 9:30. Clive Bull.
That's me.
I know.
Evening.
How are you?
I'm good, actually.
Ah.
Yes, no hypochondria at all at the moment.
You're not, you're
It's
looking...
only a matter of time, though.
You're looking peaky.
Yeah. Just plant that idea in my mind, and it'll start to fester.
Yeah. Well, I was looking at some symptoms of
never a good idea.
Virulent diseases on the internet.
Don't do that.
You've got 2 out of 5.
Have I? Yes. Yeah. Do you ever read the leaflets that come inside medicines and tablets? You know, possible side effects.
Mm-hmm. Up to and including death.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's just aspirin.
Yeah. There was one which it was. I better not say which one, just in case I get this wrong. But it was for indigestion.
Oh yeah.
A tablet. So you got indigestion? Try one of these. So and you just buy them in the supermarket. And and then I started reading this leaflet, and towards the end it said complete loss of sexual function, comma, possibly temporarily.
Possibly.
yeah, but only possibly.
Right.
It might be permanently, just from a tablet for indigestion. So, I didn't take that one.
Which means that somebody at some point has had that happen to them by taking that pill.
Yeah. But possibly by coincidence. But they have to put it down there anyway, just in case. You know, because they have to cover themselves.
It may cause heart failure, liver failure.
Yeah.
All your internal organs might explode through your mouth, and your eyes might shrivel up and fall out your head.
They're covered. I'm sure it's for insurance purposes.
Right.
You know, absolutely everything could possibly happen by taking this pill. Do you have an iPod?
What other MP3 players are available?
Yeah.
Yes,
you do.
I do. Yeah, I resisted it for a very long time, but then I gave in when I went on my Jolly Hollies, and I wanted to take some music with me.
Do you ever put it on shuffle?
It's the best thing in the world. Shuffle is the greatest invention in the history of man, and I really mean that.
Yeah. Well, it's really good, except that it depends what you're shuffling, really, doesn't it? And for a long time, I had everything on my iPod, including stuff that I might just be using, for a radio program or some audio books that I've downloaded. And so there you are, listening to your relaxing shuffled list.
Yeah.
And up comes the theme to The Persuaders. And you think, well, what's that doing in there?
Well, that's great, though.
Or Chapter 3 of Bill Clinton's autobiography.
Well, not so great. But that's the beautiful thing of it, is that you listen to things that you would never have selected.
Yes, that is
true. But
true.
that at some point, you did choose to buy.
Yeah.
So you do like the stuff. It's just that you could probably live for the rest of your life and never hear it again.
Well, that's the thing. Do you only have on there stuff that you like, that you've actually paid for and like? Or because I have got stuff in my library that is just there because I thought, well, I might as well hang on to that. It might be useful one day that,
Like what?
I'll need a bit of Kylie or whatever.
Oh, get out. You've got Kylie Minogue on your MP3 player.
Well,
that's a yes.
That's not a yes, actually. I don't really know. But, I mean, all sorts are on there because you just never know.
You've got some rubbish on there, Clive.
Definitely. And stuff that I don't like. And that's what I'm saying. So I think one of these days I'm going to have to go through and just only put the stuff I like on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. But then it feels like you're throwing away music then.
Well, absolutely, yes. I mean, I don't know about you, but I've got my punk singles in hyperallergenic sleeves.
Oh, yes.
From 1976, 77. I haven't played them in 20 years.
Yeah.
I would never get rid of them.
No. I've got a load of those as well, up in the loft, probably all warped now. I went through about a 15-minute phase of thinking, I know what would be great. I've got a turntable. I could digitise them and put them all on.
Yeah.
I lasted one album.
Really?
And then thought, this is too much like hard work.
I keep thinking I'm going to do that, and I keep thinking I'll do it on my day off.
Yeah.
But I don't ever get a day off, Clive.
No, exactly. I know. Always busy. But no, it's not worth it, really. It's a load of hassle.
No, you're completely wrong. I think it is totally worth it.
Well,
and the shuffle function makes it worth it, because this is what sort of concerns me about life. You look at your CD collection and you think, okay, I'll listen to that later.
Yeah.
And later never comes.
That's true.
You could live until you die and not hear some of the music that
That's
you
very true.
have bought.
Yeah.
And I find that that actually underlines the temporary nature of our stay on Earth, don't you think?
Well, when are you going to put these punk singles on your iPod?
Later.
Yeah, exactly. The reason I'm mentioning this, by the way, is there seems to be a fashion now for asking politicians what's on their iPods.
Yes, Barack Obama
for
came
example,
up with
an
an eclectic mix.
Yeah, and the thing, I mean, they are in a no-win situation because you either think, oh, you're just trying to sound cool, you know, okay, yeah, you've got some R&B artist on there, I don't know whether I believe you. Or you admit to what Barack might really have on his iPod, and that's even more embarrassing.
Well,
and Gordon Brown did the same thing. He's constantly quoting, I like such and such, and you think, no, you don't. There's no way you do.
Yeah, well, they should just be honest. I mean, if you like classical music, there's nothing shameful about that. Classical music is fantastic. If that's all you listen to, that's fine. If you like jazz, well, you're not going to be laughed at for liking jazz. But don't pretend that you're like the Arctic Monkeys or
no, that's exactly
the Editors
it.
or
and that's what you get, isn't
wimpy alternative bands that are around at the moment, because you're not going to get any points for that. People are just going to start quizzing you about it.
Yeah, that's exactly, and it just doesn't wash. Even if it's true, I just don't believe that Tony Blair does actually listen to Arctic Monkeys. You know?
No. It was him and not Gordon.
Well, I don't know. I can't remember. They've all done it. They all come out with this stuff.
Clive, I bet you'd look good on the dance floor.
I definitely wouldn't. That's, there's no doubt about that.
Right.
But I thought maybe what we might do, you know, on the iPods and other MP3 players, there's a little function which tells you what is your most played track.
Is there?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, you should have a closer look at it. Or is yours one of the less impressive MP3 players? I don't know, but if you're on iTunes with an iPod, you can definitely click on, and it tells you how many times you've played all of your tracks.
Is that right?
Yeah,
I had no idea.
And up the top there is what? That's what I want to know.
Ah.
What is your most played track on your iPod or other MP3?
Well, to be honest, I bought it, but I've used it almost not at all.
Oh.
I spent hour upon endless hour filling it up with stuff, and then I never used it.
Oh.
I bought one of those games that you play to make yourself less stupid.
All right.
And I've never used that either.
No.
With obvious consequences.
I wasn't going to say that. Well, that's... I do. I have it plugged into the car, and
well, see now, if I had one of those things in the car, I would use it all the time.
Yeah. Well, this is what made me think of embarrassing things on your iPod, because I had this wire plugged into the car, and I took it to the garage and paid for this wire to be plugged into the car radio, so you can plug your iPod in.
Right.
Which is a really good idea.
Brilliant.
You know. Yeah. And they said, well, just give us your iPod then, and we'll have a go and see if it works. So they plugged it in, and it comes up in alphabetical order with the greatest hits of Abba.
Well, you see,
it could be worse, but
I suppose so. Yeah.
I had to apologise for Dancing Queen, which came out first. Anyway, there we go. That's your iPod stories I'd like tonight.
Well, it's a reflection of who you are, what's on your iPod.
Yeah.
And frankly, Clive, I'm embarrassed.
Yes. Well, if it had come up later in the alphabet, it might not have been so bad.
Yeah, but it would have been Boney M, something like that.
Dear. Actually, I really hate Boney M.
I bet you've got some on there.
I haven't, no. I really don't like Boney M. Particularly that Rivers of Babylon.
Well, I don't think that a person needs to say that. It was just, that's assumed
that's just
that you don't like Boney M. You don't have to say. In fact, I think you protest too much.
Yeah, you could be right there. Yes. Good old Boney M. I love him, really.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going now.
Okay.
Thanks very much. Before I get into more trouble.
Yes, quite. There he is, Clive Bull, coming up after the new news at 10 o'clock. It's a hot seat change.
A hot cheek. Got hot cheeks.
Hey, Joe, what do you know?
I know about Kung Fu Panda.
Kung Fu Panda, right.
Yeah.
Now, what's all that about?
Have you seen the billboards? Have you seen the adverts for it?
No.
It's the new film from DreamWorks, you know, the people that bought Shrek and Madagascar and...
Right.
People like that.
DreamWorks, that's Steven Spielberg.
And Jeffrey Katzenberg.
Jeffrey Katzenberg, ex of Disney.
That's right.
And David Geffen.
Yes.
Oh, I better got that right.
Have you been doing Wikipedia or something?
No,
or
it's
just interested.
one of the few things I know.
I am actually more of a Pixar fan because it's Pixar versus DreamWorks.
Yeah, that's
isn't it?
right.
And they're
Pixar
like
are a
Toy
bit more
Story.
punky, aren't they? A bit more
Yeah.
edgy.
I like Monsters Inc. I prefer their
Yeah.
movies. But having said that, I absolutely loved Kung Fu Panda.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the title doesn't give me much hope.
No, it's about this panda.
That knows
called
Kung Fu.
Po. No, he doesn't know Kung Fu. He wants to be a Kung Fu master.
Right.
But he's actually just a fat panda working at his dad's noodle bar. And it's set in China. It's ridiculous. His
Is
dad...
it a true story?
No.
Oh, right.
But he basically ends up being chosen as the one and gets trained up to be
like Nemo or whatever what's its character was in The Matrix. I know Kung Fu.
That's right. Yeah. I mean it's a play on films like that.
It's not Nemo. It was,
Not Nemo,
It was,
it's,
Neo.
Neo, that's
Neo,
right,
that's
yeah.
it, yeah. Let me put my headphones on so I can hear Raj.
The nerdling in the other studio, he knew what it
knows
was
about these
immediately,
things,
yeah.
doesn't he?
Because when he's not watching Star Wars, he's watching The Matrix over and over and over again. Yeah.
Do you watch all three of them? No. Good. Are you a fan of Kung Fu movies, though?
No.
Really? Why not?
Well, let's start a list. Why not? They're awful.
Why? I love watching the fight scenes. And I know they're so ridiculous, some of them.
Well,
but-
yeah. No, it depends what you mean. Do you mean old-style 1970s Kung Fu, like Bruce Lee?
Yeah, I'm talking about
Or do you
those
mean
ones.
the new-fangled ones, like House of the Flying Daggers or whatever
Well,
that was?
both.
Because those new ones are interminable. Absolutely awful. I'd rather watch Kagamusha, which is about the worst film I've ever seen in my life, than sit through those House of the Flying...
So you don't like Kung Fu Hustle, then?
I've never even heard of it.
No? Well, this is a mix. This is like a homage to Kung Fu, the genre. So there's one scene
I'm
where...
sorry, if you're going to say genre, you have to say homage.
Homage, okay. It's an homage.
Don't say either of those things.
Okay, right. It pays tribute to
Yes.
these movies. And do you remember, now I've not seen this, but my husband said that is a scene out of a Jackie Chan movie where Jackie Chan, this is an old Jackie Chan movie.
Jackie Chan.
Before he became a Hollywood star.
Yeah.
Where he's training to be a master and he's trying to catch a piece of rice with some chopsticks. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
No? Oh, okay. Apparently
Is that
it's
the
quite
same
a famous
one?
Jackie Chan movie.
Is that like when Charlie Chaplin used the potatoes and a fork with and danced the potatoes
Was he learning to be a Kung
on
Fu
the
master?
table?
No.
I wish I hadn't said that
No,
now.
no.
We're going to have to come back with this.
Okay, let's come back.
After this break, it's 9:44. LBC Travel with Alan Joyce.
Thanks, Nick. And in 2...
Right, here I am with Joe Parkinson, our show business correspondent, who has been to see Kung Fu Panda this evening in London's exclusive Leicester Square.
Yes, it's very exclusive. Yeah, it's had its premiere, and so it was all sort of the theme was China, and there was martial arts experts on the red carpet, and there was Chinese dragon dancers, and there was lots of music, and then Jack Black, who does the voice of Po, this panda who wants to become a kung fu
Who
master.
actually has the profile of a panda.
Exactly. That's what's so brilliant about it. I love Jack Black. I'm a big fan of his. Do you like it? Do you like his stuff?
Yes.
He arrived in... Now, we were saying, what do you call those chairs? Is it called a Shanghai chair?
A rickshaw.
No, not a rickshaw, where you're sat in it and 4 people carry you.
Right.
What is that? Is there a name for one of those chairs?
I would almost certainly. What it is, I have
don't
no
know.
idea.
Anyway, he arrives in one of them.
Blimey, they must have been strong fellas.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said, I hope that they didn't get a hernia.
Yeah.
And because that's actually what happens in the film to the panda at one
Right.
point. And he was great though. He gets out and he starts doing all this pretend kung fu. And there was actually someone dressed up as the big panda, and lots of celebrities were there with their kids, and the kids were loving it, and so it was quite good fun. And Dustin Hoffman was there. He also does one of the voices.
What a bizarre name in the middle of that mess.
Dustin Hoffman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's never, well, as he said, he's never done an animation before, and said that this is why he wanted to get involved with this. But I said to him, you know, are you a fan? Do you know any kung fu in real life?
I prefer her house because she was making moves.
You always get a good quote from Dustin Hoffman.
It must be very bizarre acting in an animated movie because, as he's intimated, you don't actually get to work with anybody. It's
No.
just you in a soundproof booth and a script, just reading your lines on your own.
Apparently Jack and Dustin did do a bit of interaction because Dustin has never done this before, and he does a lot of work with the panda in the film, so he did want some interaction. So those two did do a bit in the booth together. But yeah, because they get all these big names. I mean, Angelina Jolie's in there, Lucy Liu, Jackie Chan actually does one of the characters, Ian McShane, Lovejoy, he's the baddie.
What is that with Hollywood? Every time they cast a baddie, he's got to be English.
I know, that's what I said. I said that to Jeffrey Katzenberg, and he just said, well, you know, as Walt Disney always said. I couldn't believe that he quoted that to me. He goes, a movie is only as good as its bad guy. And said that Ian McShane.
That's
quite a
something
good one,
in
isn't
there.
it? Yeah, it's quite a good one.
Oh,
We'll
okay.
get to him. I spoke to Jeffrey Katzenberg, very interesting man.
All right.
Jack, as I said, made quite an entrance in this, what I think is called a Shanghai chair. I'm not sure if I'm right, though.
We took a sneaky back out, bursting out of it like a jack-in-the-box, and did some kung fu.
That must have been a sight.
It was brilliant. It was. He said it was just, you know, made up for the cameras, but he seemed to be quite good at it and thoroughly
He
enjoying
did?
it. Yeah.
He doesn't look athletic.
No, but he's got a lot of spring in him.
Right, okay.
Yeah, he's a bouncy guy.
A sedan chair.
That's what it's called,
Right.
apparently. A sedan chair. So the big story about this film in Cannes, because it was one of the big films at Cannes Film Festival, was when they were promoting it, Jack Black let it slip that Angelina Jolie was actually having twins, and this hadn't been confirmed before. So I asked him, has she forgiven him?
I think so. I haven't spoken. I think she's neutral on the subject of me.
Now, Angelina Jolie, she's going out with Brad Pitt, right?
Yeah.
You're the person that keeps up with all this
Yep.
stuff. Aren't they part of this sort of Hollywood tribe who are going around collecting orphans from four corners of the world?
I think they actually started the trend.
Right.
Yeah, Angelina started it.
She's now having twins as well.
Yes, so they will now have, they've got Pax, Maddox, and Sahara, they're the adopted ones. They've got Shiloh already, that's her and Brad's little girl that they've got together, and they're now going to have twins, so they'll have 6 kids.
Good grief.
Angelina was the one who was quoted as saying that she did want a rainbow-coloured family.
Well, she's got one more to go.
Benetton ad, and there you go. But yeah, Brangelina, as they're called in Hollywood.
Yeah, Shiloh. I think that's a mistake. I can think of 3 things immediately that kid's going to get called in school.
Oh, well, Shiloh Pitt, you know, reverse the letters and there you go.
So, moving straight along.
So, moving along. So the other person in the film who was at the premiere tonight was Lucy Liu. Now, she... one of those ones that's like, what do we ask Lucy Liu about? She's been in Charlie's Angels.
Shiloh Pitt?
Yes, Shiloh Pitt.
That's the worst thing I've ever heard in my life.
It's very
That
amusing.
kid's gonna sue them into a black hole in space.
But the thing is, she's not, right, because she is the daughter of Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt.
I don't even want to say it too often in case I make a mistake.
Exactly. But she's so beautiful, it's unbelievable. I mean, she's got the most beautiful mother, beautiful father, and she's stunning. So she won't get the Mickey taken out of her at
she
all.
will. Mm-hmm, she will.
Well, I don't know. I don't think she will.
We're doing it right now.
We are, but who cares? They probably don't care about us, do they?
No. Kids are much crueler than we could even imagine being. But anyway.
Anyway. So, also spoke to Lucy Liu on the red carpet. Now, she's most...
Lucy Liu, there's another one.
Yeah. She's most known for being in Charlie's Angels, and so does do a lot of the kung fu, knows the moves anyway.
Oh, yeah.
But says that she'd rather keep fit in a different way.
I do a little Pilates in my so hard, it was like completely swollen.
I'm not sure what ADR is.
No, I've got no idea.
I've no idea.
ADR.
She was really dull. I don't mean to be horrible, but
Lucy
she's just
Liu.
really dull.
Aren't actors... I mean, you talk to a lot of actors. Aren't they all dull?
No, not all of them. Jack Black isn't dull.
Right, but he's not so much an actor as a comedian.
Yeah.
Didn't he start on Saturday Night Live?
Yeah.
So he's not really an actor.
No,
he's
he's not.
just a crazy fat man.
Yeah.
In the John Belushi mould.
Yeah, I guess so. I love Jack Black. I think he's great. Not all of them are dull. Some of them are just really bland, and you just think, oh, God.
But I think that's the nature of acting, isn't it? You have to subsume yourself into the character, and to do that, you have to be a bit of a blank yourself.
Quite a dull person.
Yeah, so I think that is the nature of actors. They're all boring and a bit weird.
A little bit strange.
Yeah,
so
they're not as weird as DJs or talk show hosts. But that's the end of the scale,
Yeah,
that is.
exactly.
But they're just kind of a blank.
Sit in a box all day talking
Yeah,
to no one.
exactly.
Well, not no one, but, you know, to yourself.
No, often. Yeah,
Often.
to no one, yeah.
No, I mean, and the other thing as well with them is, especially if you get into a character that they play, you sort of want them to be like that character, or
Yeah.
to be as fun as that character,
Right.
and then when they're not, it's just so disappointing.
Well, they're just reciting what somebody else has written.
Dustin Hoffman's not dull. He's really funny.
Yes.
He's good.
He
He's
does have
great.
a character, yeah.
Yeah, he was brilliant. There was the Sky crew were next to me, the Sky News crew,
Oh, yeah.
and Matt Smith, the presenter. Dustin didn't have a tie on, so he took Matt's tie, and you know, he was just like stuff like that, and just swapped over, and he had really good fun with the crowds. They were chanting his name, like I think they,
Really?
yeah, it's like a football match for them when they come to Leicester Square. They're like Dustin, Dustin, and they'd love it because they don't get that in America.
Right. But they don't have that sort of hooligan element following them, no.
It's a premiere, so what?
Now, who else did you talk to?
So I spoke to the man himself, Jeffrey Katzenberg,
Oh, yeah.
CEO of DreamWorks. Very powerful man, very rich.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at these people, I think, I wonder how much money you're actually worth.
You should ask them.
I should have, really, but
They won't have any idea.
it's a little bit rude.
Yeah.
Obviously, the man behind Shrek, and he told me that this film, well, he loves coming to London, and this film's a real labour of love.
Sure, the textures, the textiles.
5 years. It's
Can you imagine
almost
that?
as long as I prepare this excellent show.
Yeah.
You can
Each
tell.
one.
Can't you? That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, yeah. Everything is written down and honed to perfection
I know.
on this super programme, yeah. Joe, thanks very much.
Thanks, Nick.
Talk to you later.
Speak soon.
Clive's coming up next. You're listening to LBC on 97.3.